name is Mendel. I'd like to share with you a thought on this week's Torah portion. This week's Torah portion is a Torah portion of Miketz. In this Torah portion we find the dreams of Paroah. What were these dreams of Paroah? Pharaoh's first dream was he saw coming out of the Nile River 7 fat, healthy, juicy cows coming out of the Nile River. After those 7 cows came out, he saw another pair of 7 cows. But these 7 cows were ugly, skinny, didn't look like very healthy cows. And they came right after those other 7 cows. These 2 sets of cows were standing right next to each other. And all of a sudden, the 7 ugly, skinny cows swallowed the 7 juicy, fat cows. Paroah was very puzzled by this, and he woke up. Paroah had a second dream. Paroah's second dream was he saw 7 stalks of grain. Healthy, good produce, 7 stalks of grain. Then Paroah saw another 7 stalks of grain, but these 7 stalks of grain were also skinny. The Torah says they were beaten by the east wind. They were not very good stalks of grain. These stalks of grain stood together. And all of a sudden, these 7 ugly, skinny, beaten stalks of grain ate the healthy, juicy stalks of grain. Paroah was very puzzled by this dream. He summoned all of his wise men and his sorcerers to give him an interpretation for this dream. But they all gave him the weirdest explanations. Paroah was very puzzled by this. He didn't know what to do. And one day, the butler reminded himself of Yosef, who was inside jail. He almost forgot, but then this one day, he remembered. And he went to Pharaoh telling Pharaoh, why don't you bring, there's this Jew in jail who interpreted my dream, and it came true. So why don't you schlep Yosef to come, and let him interpret your dream. Pharaoh thought it was a very good idea. They summoned Yosef from the jail. Yosef had a haircut, got the nice clothing. He went in front of the king. And Yosef said as follows: the 7 juicy cows and the 7 good grades of stock are all together. They are one. These 2 dreams are all corresponding to one. They are all one dream. So those good sets, the good sets of good cows and the good sets of good stalks of grain, they correspond to 7 years of abundance. And the 7 not so good cows, the 7 skinny cows, correspond to hunger, and they also connect. And also the 7 stalks of grain correspond to the hunger. So these 2 dreams are actually one dream. Yosef said there was going to be 7 years of abundance and 7 years of hunger. Now, there's 3 questions we can ask on this. Number 1, how does a person who just came out of jail, how does he have the audacity, the chutzpah, to tell Paroah what to do? You came on a mission to tell Paroah to interpret the dream. Now you're telling Paroah what to do? That's Pharaoh's decision, not yours. You can't tell Pharaoh what to do. That's number 1. Number 2, Joseph's interpretation was very simple. 7 fat cows. 7 good stalks of grain. That means that there's a lot of food, the produce is good, there's enough rain. Food. So it talks about food. 7 skinny cows, 7 skinny stalks of grain corresponds to there's no food. That's why they're skinny. There's no produce. It's very simple. Why was Joseph's idea so great that Pharaoh had to praise him? You'll have divine inside of you. What was so great about Pharaoh's dream? What was so great about Pharaoh's dream? Number 3, for some reason, if you look at the interpretations of the wise men, Rashi says that their interpretation was very, very weird. They said to Paroah, you will have 7 daughters, and you will have 7 daughters that will be born, and you will have 7 daughters that will die. That's very, very weird. So we're going to answer these questions. Now, we know that The sorcerers of Paroah were actually very smart people. Thinking they would give such a weird explanation, they obviously had a very good reason to say that there were 7 daughters that would live and 7 daughters that will die. They had one problem in the story of Pharaoh. One problem was that the 7 fat cows and the 7 non-good cows came together. They stood together. How is that possible? How can you have years of hunger and years of abundance together? You couldn't have them at the same time. So that was the reason why they gave these very funny ideas. They couldn't understand how these two things could come together and be at the same time. How can they be coexistent? They can't be together. You can't have 7 good, healthy cows and 7 non-healthy cows. You can't have 7 years of hunger and 7 years of abundance at the same time. But that is the reason why they couldn't answer this question. Now, why was Joseph's idea so great? Why? Because what Joseph was saying was, how were they together? And during the years of plenty, what are we going to do? During the years of plenty, we're going to store food. What does that mean, store food? And during the years of plenty, we're going to have in mind for the years of hunger. So during the years of plenty, we're having in mind for the years of hunger. So they're both together, in a sense, they're both together. We are collecting food. Why am I collecting food now and storing food? Because I know that in the future, we're going to have the years of hunger. So they're both the same thing. I'm going to do the opposite way. During the years of hunger, I'm using the food which I collected and stored during the years of abundance. So these 2 years are together. That was the logic and the amazing idea of Joseph. And they're both together. That was why Pharaoh praised Joseph for his great knowledge. How great he was. And so when Joseph was telling Pharaoh what to do, he was just telling him the rest of the dream. What's the rest of the dream? The rest of the dream is that the way that they are together, the way with these 2 dreams, that these 7 years of hunger and the 7 years of famine can come together and be coexistent, is by doing what? Is by collecting food. That during the years of plenty, you collect food for the years of hunger. And the opposite way. During the years of hunger, you were eating the food which you stored during the years of plenty. Now, this could give us Joseph was a very outstanding person. Joseph had very good qualities. Joseph is teaching us a very, very good lesson. When we are all on high, we are billionaires, we are on high, we feel we are on top of the world, we have to realize something. We have to realize that we have to make connections. We have to make friends. You can't just be by yourself. When you're by your own, when you are on the top, when you're in abundance, when you have plenty of food, when you have everything in the world, you must make connections. You must store food. Because if you don't make connections, you go down. A very important lesson you have. If you have a chance, if you are on the highest level possible, and you don't make connections, then if the bad years come, go right down. That's why you must make connections. You must make friends. So when you're on the top of the world, make connections. Make friends. This is what Joseph taught us. It's all one life. We have good days and bad days. On the good days we have, make connections. So when the bad days come, we are ready and we have food to continue. Thank you. Have a good week. Have a good Shabbos.